All right, shout out to our Katia Castorena there, doing double duty, both for ESPN Deportes and helping out in the post-match interviews with CONCACAF. Here we see it, the U.S. making history. They are the champions of the first ever CONCACAF W Gold Cup. For more on the victory and what it means, thrilled to welcome into the show our good friend and colleague Jeff Kassouf. Of course, you can read his work over at ESPN.com, Equalizer Soccer as well. Jeff, what do we make of the U.S. victory, not just in the game, but the tournament overall? Do we feel it was deserved?
Yeah, look, I think it was a professional and efficient performance in that final, and that's what you need from a final, right? Especially when I look at this tournament as a whole and what they came into this wanting to accomplish, Twyla Kilgore, interim manager, and all the players we heard from, they wanted to simulate the Olympics. They wanted to develop as a team in transition, and they wanted to prepare for the Olympics, and this was the best preparation they were going to get. And I think when you look at this tournament as a whole for the U.S., it's absolutely everything you could have wanted for that, because they got their gut check against Mexico. They played poorly. They lost. Surprised to finish second in the group. Maybe that happens at the Olympics, right? Then you get a tougher quarterfinal against Colombia, which is the team in this Gold Cup that had gone the farthest in the 2023 World Cup. You get Canada in that ridiculous game on that ridiculous field in those conditions in a semifinal, a late game, and then you have to turn around and play Brazil, right? At that point, I think we saw some signs of the U.S. being a little bit gassed. They went back-to-back quarterfinal and semi using the same 11. They only made 2 changes in the final. 3 big games in a week like that. I don't think that they were the best team, certainly in the first half against Brazil. You saw those highlights. I think Brazil knocked on the door, was a bit wasteful in front of net. And look, the U.S. grinds it out. You heard Lindsey Horan use that term, and Horan scores late in that half, and the U.S. wins this game and wins this tournament. So I think a really professional performance, and you look at the importance of this tournament as a whole, that performance in the final, for a team with relative inexperience that we're not used to from a U.S. team, I think this is everything you could have asked for. I don't think they're suddenly gold medal favorites, but this is exactly what they needed in terms of experience, and they walk away with the trophy as well.
Jeff, how long have you known Sevi? He's trying to set us up here. Deserve to win. Like, I don't believe in deserving anything in life, let alone a game. Listen, when I was playing down in Mexico, there was a saying, las finales no se juegan, se ganan. Finals aren't meant to be played. They're meant to be won. And that's the case here. You don't try to be aesthetic in a final. You try to win a final. And the U.S. women's national team is very good at winning finals. By my estimation, I think that's over 10 for 10 in finals, the last 10 finals. That's a pretty damn good record. They did exactly what they needed to do. Jeff mentioned the first half was a complete Brazilian domination. I actually felt the way they pressed it put the U.S. women's national team in some very compromising positions in that back line. Made them at times look very, very pedestrian. But that second half, it wasn't that the U.S. women's national team played great. It was just they neutralized Brazil. Brazil couldn't do anything. And then they found a way to win, whether it was through an aerial duel or whether it was through Route 1. The U.S. women's national team does what it always does in finals. They won.
Yeah, and they kept Brazil in check. Remember, this is a Brazilian team that had 11 different goal scorers coming into this game. They had 0 shots on target. They had a lot of shots, but they had 0 shots on target in 90 minutes against this U.S. team. I'm with you, Jeff. If we go beyond the game against Brazil and we really think big picture, I think there's a lot to take from this U.S. performance in this tournament, especially after the Mexico game, because you can't say beat, but you got the better of 3 Olympic-level opponents in Colombia, Canada, and then Brazil. And if we think about what this team didn't do at the last World Cup, that to me is truly something. Gold medal favorites? I don't know, but medal contenders now, Jeff, I feel much more comfortable saying than I would have before this tournament started. Primarily because one of the big things we saw, not just at the World Cup, but in the entire lead up to it, was an attack that didn't seem to know how to get things going. Outside of the Mexico game, I think we saw an attack that looked more like what you would expect from the pieces on paper when it comes to this team.